The art of fusion. The physical and mental duality of one being created by two. We've witnessed how powerful it is when two rivals join in complete unison. But how powerful is it when father and son perform the ritual? You'll just have to watch the video. Cue the intro.
They can't compete with us. Nah, they can't compete with us. They can't compete with us. They're begging, we bang. やりたいように we go. That's the only way that we know. いつもいただくだけ。見逃したことない chance. くだらない rules, who cares?
In today's video, I wanted to do an analysis on the Potara earring fusion. In the midst of the video, I'll segue into a scenario on what if Goku and Gohan succeeded in the Potara fusion. Fusion is a technique that perfectly delineates the physiology and the psychology of a new contemporary being. So far, there have been 4 particular versions, such as the Namekian fusion, the fusion dance, absorption, and the Potara fusion. I've chosen the Potara fusion because of the pivotal impact it made on the final season of Dragon Ball Z. There's always been a popular argument on the superiority between the Potara and the fusion dance. Fans want to know who possesses more power out of Vegito and Gogeta. This debate to me is all subjective because the fact remains that one warrior exists in the canon timeline and one warrior doesn't. But if I'm going to choose between the two rituals, I would have to go with the Potara because of its well-balanced backstory. The fusion dance, which was developed by the Metamorans, is said to have tremendous abilities and is super effective depending on the user's statistics. When performed successfully, the fused warrior has an astounding level of power far beyond what either fusees would have had individually. The new warrior possesses minute characteristics of the creators, and the personality hinges on the maturity of the more dominant host. The identities merge along with the original names, and they're covered in traditional garbs of the Metamorans. Not much is known about the Metamorans or what they actually look like. What little info we do have is that Goku met them in the other world, so the only thing that we can theorize is that they met their untimely end, but because of their important role in the galaxy, they were given a pass to keep their original bodies. You could also guess that maybe they were a divine race similar to that of the Kais, who weren't bound by the common laws of the living world. As we all know, the fusion dance isn't without its faults. The warriors' power levels have to be in perfect sync along with the dance ritual, and the two warriors have to be in similar builds and heights. What makes this ritual even more daunting is its sketchy reaction to certain post-transformations. In essence, the fusion dance has a set time span of 30 minutes, but if a transformation demands more ki energy, the time can possibly be reduced by 5 minutes or lower. It kinda makes me wonder what the reaction would be like if 2 Super Saiyan gods fused into one. Would the power be too much? Or would it be the perfect balance of god energy? You can sort of think of the fusion dance as a method used to get things done in a timely manner. The Potara fusion, on the other hand, can serve that purpose and then some. It seamlessly cross-pollinates 2 beings into one without forcing too many rules, and manages to balance their characteristics. A method accidentally performed after a witch and the Supreme Kai merged into a rare cross species. Being that the Supreme Kai was at a higher tier than the witch, he maintained his conscience, and he was able to utilize the witch's abilities. Unlike the fusion dance, the Potara earrings doesn't penalize the wielders. It perfectly combines their genetic compositions. The power levels can be complex and more unpredictable than the fusion dance, but in a warrior such as Vegito's case, the rise in power is inconceivably drastic. This is due to the fact that Goku and Vegeta share similar biologies. It can also be attributed to them being full-blooded Saiyans. Many forget that even in his base form, Vegeta was more powerful than that of a Super Saiyan 3. When in a Super Saiyan state, he easily surpassed Gohan's ultimate transformation. Its only drawback is that the form essentially lasts forever. Another fact that hasn't been raised is that if 2 Saiyans were to fuse during their transformed states, it would have an adverse effect, causing the newly fused warrior to stay transformed until he ultimately succumbs to his body being overly stressed. The idea of Goku and Vegeta fusing together always seemed linear and thread-based to me in a sense, because if they ultimately were to stay fused forever, Vegeta's quest to surpass Goku would be ruined, and Goku's desire to always test his limits would easily be subdued since Vegito's power is on another level. If you think about it, the Potaras were intended for Gohan to fuse with Goku in the first place. This idea brought in more variance, because you have father and son, 2 characters that were in their prime, and arguably the strongest in the DBZ series, coming together to become a Saiyan hybrid. Until this day, we have yet to witness a blood relative based fusion, and it just makes me ponder a bit. This would have been the perfect demonstration because you have two warriors consisting of similar genetic compositions. Key term, DNA. DNA is considered many things: the building block of life, soul data, the double helix, our genetic code of existence. That data continues to carry over to our descendants along with our looks and characteristics. Certain theories imply that the sins of the fathers dictate how their offspring will be. When I think of this idea, it makes sense to why Goku and Gohan are so pure in their essence. I mean, certain genetics of the father may be substituted by the mothers, but the core elements still remain. Being that the Saiyans are some of the most dominant species in the galaxy, a lot of their genetic makeup is carried over to their half-human sons, like things such as enhanced healing factors, super strength, and the ability to become a Super Saiyan. What I find interesting about the DBZ universe is that no matter the tradition, each Saiyan descendant has a certain thing they cherish and fight for. For example, although Bardock was your traditional stone cold full-blooded Saiyan, he still cared for his team, and he also tried to save his planet from its inevitable destruction. Goku and Gohan share the same traits. They both care for their friends, and they put forth all their effort to protect the Earth. These traits sound like the perfect ingredients for the fusion. To corroborate my theory, I feel it's best that we take a look at the stats of our two warriors and examine their early lives. For my references, I'll be using information from the Dragon Ball Minus manga, and I'll also reference some of the Dragon Ball Online lore since it was tightly supervised by Akira Toriyama, and it expanded the possibilities of some of the Z fighters like Gohan. As mentioned earlier, Goku and Gohan share similar biologies. In their adult years, they both come in at around 5 foot 9 inches. They have the same facial features, and during the Buu saga it's said that they weighed roughly around 134 pounds. The only noticeable differences would be their hair shapes. There's also a difference that unlike Goku, who maintains all his muscles all year round, Gohan's muscle mass fluctuates from time to time. Goku was born and raised on the planet Vegeta 3 years before its destruction. He would spend the first 3 years of his life in an incubation chamber. His father Bardock and mother Gine would decide to send him away to Earth in a sand space pod a month before Frieza destroyed planet Vegeta. After successfully crash landing on Earth, he would be found by an old martial artist by the name of Gohan and became his adopted grandson. At first, Goku was very ill-tempered and disobedient, proving to be too much for Gohan at times. However, this would change. After a usual walk in the mountains, Goku falls into a deep ravine and hits his head, causing him to suffer from severe head trauma and amnesia. After he woke up, he lost his aggressive Saiyan instincts and forgets his mission to destroy the Earth. He becomes a kind and well-mannered child, and his grandfather Gohan teaches him martial arts until he ultimately dies. To make a long story short, Goku goes on to be a powerful warrior. He would go on to face powerful opponents and foil the plans of evil organizations. He would also learn his true origin and traverse the galaxy and learn the many mysteries of the universe. Goku is known to be a beacon of justice, who has an energetic personality and a strong competitive passion for fighting. He possesses a strong intuition in seeing the good in others in spite of their actions, though this ability would prove to be one of his weak points as well. Even though Goku broke the stigma of your standard full-blooded Saiyan, which is cold and ruthless, his overall resolve is hampered by his insatiable appetite to become strong. Just like his colleague Vegeta, no matter how much of a better version of himself he becomes, his pride won't allow him to rest. This hereditary ambition may have its perks, but it somewhat hinders Goku from making the right decisions. This linear mindset makes it impossible for Goku to blend in with other Earthlings, causing a ripple effect on his family. In typical shonen fashion, your main protagonist is supposed to grow from this one-track mindset, becoming stronger in strength and wisdom, but it's because of Goku's Saiyan nature, his overall motivation struggles to find a spark of life. There's also his high level of overconfidence. As mentioned by Whis, Goku becomes so sure of himself he lets his guard down when the stakes are high. But in hindsight of all that, he still manages to grow in his abilities. As of today, he ascended to 4 Super Saiyan transformations, ranging from Super Saiyan 1 all the way up to Super Saiyan Blue. So in my final summation, I would have to say that Goku is very reliable, but only in his field of expertise. He means well, but his methods are somewhat ambiguous. This brings us to Gohan, a half-breed who's a spitting image of his father, but lacks some of his qualities. He would go on to follow in that traditional shonen path, a naive character that's riddled with uncertainty, but is destined for greatness in later chapters. What made him so much more developed than Goku is the fact that the story of Dragon Ball Z was supposed to be centered around him. Unbeknownst to most DBZ fans, since Goku was already the main focus of the Dragon Ball saga, there wasn't that much Toriyama could do with his character development, so he decided to make the series revolve around the offspring of Goku, which was Gohan. I would also like to point out that the letter Z in the title of Dragon Ball Z was intended to be a 2, hence the name Dragon Ball 2. Apparently, a rough draft copy of the title was given to the editing staff, who mistook the number 2 with a letter Z, and that's how the legend was born. So it sort of makes sense that Gohan would fill in the protagonist spot, but due to Akira Toriyama's change of heart, Goku would become a mainstay in the series. This would stifle Gohan's growth as a character, making him revert back to being a low-tier character later on in the series. In his early years, he was a shy and studious child who lacked the Saiyan spirit of fighting. Being that he's a Saiyan hybrid, he possesses a limitless amount of power that lays dormant, which at first only revealed itself when he experienced fierce rage. What's interesting about Gohan is that he already has most of his Saiyan traits, such as growing stronger after every battle. So what's not to say that his hidden power doesn't further advance as well? Having limitless power makes him a wild card in every imaginable way, and it enables Toriyama to utilize it in various ways like he did when Gohan ascended to Super Saiyan 2, and later to his ultimate form, which was able to bypass any Super Saiyan form. At the end of the DBZ series, Gohan would prove to be the strongest unfused Z warrior, and that's until he became extremely nerfed in the later follow-up series, Dragon Ball Super. Since he isn't a full-blooded Saiyan, he doesn't have the desire to become stronger. He also lacks the ability to maintain a viable physique suited for battles. Because of logical reasons, Gohan stops training and centers most of his focus around his studies and being a family man. This would hurt his character mystique for the most part, because fans have invested so much faith in him over the years. It feels as if he's being shafted all of a sudden. I'm sort of torn in my feelings on this issue. Although I'm somewhat bummed that we've seen his characterization come to a screeching halt, I can't be mad at him for wanting to hone his skills in his studies. For the most part, we already have Goku and Vegeta to protect the Earth with their god abilities. But just because he wants to focus his time on his studies, doesn't mean he's a total waste in the Dragon Ball Z roster. The fact that he wants to increase his intellect comes as an added bonus to his unlimited potential. According to Dragon Ball Online, which was supervised by Akira Toriyama, in the year 804, after Goku's departure, Gohan writes a book based on the understanding of ki energy. The book would quietly gain popularity, and in one of the articles it was stated that he came up with a plausible theory on how Kachin, which is the strongest metal in the universe, could be cut. He goes on to explain that by perfectly channeling one's ki through a sword would allow them great speed, precision, and striking power. The teachings in his book would later go on to be adapted into a sword school called Kikokenjutsu, which stands for Energy Controlled Fencing. This martial arts academy was created and constructed by Trunks and Goten, so as you can see, even the smallest details can punctuate on a character's involvement in a series. I can imagine how effective Gohan's knowledge and cunning could be if it's infused with Goku's confidence and natural Saiyan strength. Having those feats at your own leisure would be very crucial and make the new warrior's moveset more robust. Also, I think that the struggle for dominance within the fighter's cerebral functions will be more balanced compared to Vegito's. Considering the fact that Goku and Gohan have known each other for all their life and share similar traits would make them a better version of themselves. In essence, the new being would fight more efficiently without being overly cocky. He would also have the perfect amalgam of knowledge, not only that of Gohan's, but that of Goku's, since he spent 7 years learning in the other world. I would also like to point out the fact that their voices probably wouldn't clash, since they're similar in pitch, but this could differ based on the dub or the direction of the production team. If I could guess what the attire would look like, I'd say there wouldn't be much difference from what Goku and Gohan wore in the final act of the Buu saga. They probably have more bangs and split ends in their hairdo, and I'm willing to bet that the physique would be more like Goku's, since full-blooded Saiyans retain their youth. But there's another scenario that would have played out smoother if Gohan decided not to change out of his Kai attire before being teleported to Earth. Since he was wearing his own set of Potara earrings, all he'd have to do was take a Potara earring off the desired ear. The alternate outfit would probably consist of Gohan's Kai suit, but instead of having a long sleeve undershirt, he would probably have Goku's t-shirt and wristbands. The colors would also change, complementing both fighters' normal ones, and he'd probably wear Goku's boots as well. The warrior would still display some of Goku's curiosity in regards to his opponent, but he wouldn't go overboard when things got too serious. I can imagine him using a Masenko and a Kamehameha wave fused together. The names would probably be like the Masenko wave or the Kame Senko. Yeah, I like that. For my final theory, I could see the warrior being thirsty for knowledge in fighting, himself, and in the universe. But that's all I have for you guys today. I want to hear your theories on this topic. Do you think the duality between father and son would make for a great warrior? Or do you think that one warrior could hinder the other's judgment if fused? Leave your thoughts in the comment section below, and don't forget to like or dislike the video. I also ask that you subscribe and share this video with your friends if you want more videos similar to this one. And last but not least, to confirm that you watched this video in its entirety, follow your comment up with #UltimateFusion. But anyways, this is your boy RBG signing out on another video. I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.